Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with the follow-up video for the end game on Volcanic Fissure Dex Stacking Raider. It, at this stage, hit level 95 and did end up taking on all endgame content at level 94. All of it, basically, yeah. Actually did all of the Ubers and was trying to go deathless throughout the entire playthrough. Didn't quite happen in the end. Basically, I never died to any sort of mapping at all. It's just, it feels super unethical having defenses like this. If you're a character with like insane amounts of evasion and then a decent bit of armor behind it, it feels like you're almost never taking damage throughout just regular mapping, because you pretty much are just never taking damage. So I did go ahead and do a simulacrum as the first thing for my endgame content, and got all the way through to wave 29 before dying once to Kosis with some pretty bad mods, and he practically one-shot me. I had like, I don't know, 500 life left, but there was a corrupted blood stack and I couldn't get rid of it. I had no flasks left and didn't log out, just basically ran away and died. So it is technically doable deathless as a full simulacrum wave 30 sort of situation, but yeah, didn't quite get there. So wave 29 without dying, died once, and then finished it off and did a full wave 30. And that is my first wave 30 for the league. It basically just does feel a lot better doing a simulacrum when you have phasing, some pretty good recovery, and then also insane amounts of evasion and armor at the same time. It's still cancer, it's still not a super fun thing to do, but fully doable at the very least with some characters. You still want to be far more overpowered to be like doing these regularly, and Volcanic Fissure is nice. It cleared pretty well. This is probably the best use of Volcanic Fissure that I would have come across thus far. Basically, I'm just running around in circles a lot of the time, pressing Volcanic Fissure, and it just snakes around and actually kills like lots of stuff by itself. So typically it doesn't do too much. Like, you can use it during mapping and it sometimes helps, and it's hard to tell, honestly, if it's doing much compared to your actual skill itself. But otherwise, during the simulacrums, it was really good. And then throughout some of these like 4-way, 5-way invitations, building up a Volcanic Fissure and then pressing it, it would kind of just take out like half their life while you're not even on screen. So it does sometimes help in that regard too. But for the most part, I did like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of each of these invites in the end, and with some nasty road mods plenty of the times, and you can just kind of face tank and recover real well. And it was a strong play style, being Volcanic Fissure, which is kind of like a range but also a melee attack whenever you want it to be. So when you want to be melee, the damage is going to come out way quicker, simply because there's less travel time. The balls are going to go in the air quicker and then land a little bit quicker that way. Whereas if you really need to, you can attack from range as well, and that gives you a bit more flexibility. Now, I've yet to actually test the new patch where there's going to be slower proges and faster proges applied, so I assume single target can actually be even bigger right now, based off of this new patch, where slower proj should probably make more of the balls overlap on smaller bosses. This is me basically doing my first Uber boss, and I was like limit testing the tentacles, because I imagined I could be able to tank some of these, and I could, but it wasn't really worth doing. So still dodging them is the play. And overall, it did feel like I had a lot of ball overlap, even without the patch that just came in, and potential slower projectile scaling, because it's pretty damn noticeable when the balls start dropping, as opposed to just attacking regularly. So the attack itself does damage, but then the balls do a lot of damage too. If you're just attacking regularly, you can see it's like doing a bit of damage, and then once the balls go in the air and drop, it looks noticeably larger. So it definitely feels like there's a lot of proj overlap, but yeah, I would think that being able to get some slow projectiles now should make Val Volcanic Fissure and Volcanic Fissure quite a bit nicer for your single target, and thus make it a more viable skill. Its only real problem is, as I mentioned in the previous video, it's just a bit slow and clear because you do have to, maybe with extra approach speed scaling you will do better, but yeah, you just have to wait for like the travel time of the shit and maybe scale some area to make it better. That was my first death you just then saw as well on Uber Eater, and first death on any Ubers. Did Maven deathless, did Uber Shaper Maven, I think deathless, and one time I died on one of them. A couple of deaths on Searing Exarch, 0 deaths on Cirrus, no deaths on one of the Cortexes, a death on one of the Cortexes, I think. And I also did try a full Maven without my Relic as well, for anyone interested about the actual build itself. Without the Relic, my damage drops by about 30%, something like that. So essentially -1 link. And it still is a decent build. It's far less impressive on the single target, but it's still mechanically and overall a pretty strong build. So you could do this version as long as you get a deck stacking axe or mace, something like that, and then go full deck stacking. But it's still going to be a bit tough to build, especially early on. So maybe the strength stack versions are the way to go if you wanted more budget and easier way to do Volcanic Fissure, or similar to how I've built Kinetic Bolt, and I think something else on a champion where you just scale auras, so just go lots of wrath, lots of anger, and lots of flat damage. You can do it that way too, I think, and then have plenty of success, so not having to stack any sort of stats. But yeah, for me, this is comfortably build of the league at the moment, I think, just because it could take on all content pretty smoothly without dying, still had good DPS, it's satisfying enough to play, and clear was good enough as well. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one to beat, I think. With that said, I will leave you with a Maven Uber Elder. Pretty tough fight. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time. Maven 2? Yeah. It might be okay, I don't know.
What a mysterious life is so brutal.
Getting pretty good DPS up to him. I guess it helps that I can attack from pretty much anywhere. I didn't mean to pop that quickly. I wanted to pop it just a bit further down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, ooh, ha! Not good. Actually, I can probably tank this.
Twin terrors. Amount of my might. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
There was a few tense moments there. Not gonna lie. Wasn't feeling incredibly comfortable.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. Twin terrors.
Dude, why is the Twin Terrors lining up with this shit every time right now?
Amount of my might.
That's for Jesus.
Life is so brutal. Start and hunt. Shadows, rise and fight. Mortal flesh is so fallible. This one is quite special and quite.
And that's what you call a clean Uber Elder Maven Uber Elder. That actually was pretty legit. That loot, dude. So bad.